Here we are in this beautiful Black Hills area. First time I'm out here, and hopefully everything goes good. Wish me luck. Uh-oh. Well, I don't know what happened, but I think my career with quadcopters has just ended. I can only hope that everything's okay, or at least the damage is minimal. Oh God. This is going to take a while. Not good, that's for sure. And I'll be back if I find it. Hopefully I will. Well, I've been looking for about 3 hours, maybe even 4, and haven't found it yet. And it's getting, sun is going down, and this is the area I'm looking for, somewhere in here. And I don't know if it's up or if it's down in that gorge or further up this ridge. I was way up there, further back, when it dove down into here. And so no luck after like 3.5, 4 hours. If I don't find it here soon, I'm going to come back tomorrow and, give it another look. Hopefully it won't rain or snow, and maybe I'll still be able to salvage it if I find it. Well, definitely sucks. All right. All right, guys, this story has a happy ending. I'm walking back up the hill. Okay, so like I'm way down there. See that down in that gorge, and I had a marker right where you see that tree is, figuring it came down from there. So coming back up, I decide, hey, what the heck? I'll walk a little bit past the marker, and now I haven't even touched it. Okay, I spent like 4 hours looking for this puppy, and it came down, and look at here. The Mobius camera's still going, the battery is still on, and I don't know if the GPS is intact, but we're going to flip it over. Yes! Look at that. Key takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Unbelievable, guys. Totally unbelievable. Look at this. Unreal. I can't believe it. Just look. This turns, this is turning, and this is turning. And there's the Mobius. It's probably still recording. Let's see. No, it went out. I got to check that video out. Maybe it's on there. That'll be cool. Let me shut this battery off. Look at it. I still got a GPS lock. The transmitter had 1 bar of power on it. It was on manual mode. And I flew this thing too far away. And I realized it once it just bolted straight up. I was able to get some control over it, bringing it towards this way because it was way to the west. And then it started to come down. But amazingly, look at this thing. It's not even busted or nothing. Wow, Lady Luck was with me. All right, well, hang in there and keep the faith. Okay, so here we are after the crash. We're back in the shop here and going to make a few mods that have developed from the lessons learned on that last crash. So one of the things that I believed had saved the quad when it landed hard like that was that fortunately I had the landing gears down before she landed, and I had put these rubber that slip over a copper pipe from freezing. It felt like it gave it a little more cushion as it came down. And if you look at that video in slow motion, you can see how it bounced a little bit and then it settled down. And I believe that this is what really saved it from breaking a leg or tipping over. The foam that it comes with really isn't that much, but this is quite a bit thicker. I'm going to upgrade that. I bought for a 3/4 inch pipe is what you want. See, it's this tubing here. It will just slip right over this red piece right here. So I'm going to cut it to length and then we'll slip it over here. So let's do that mod. Okay, so with the pieces cut, it's really a simple matter. You just slide it on over the top of it like that. And that's it. Because of this color, it was black, which I like. It made it a little difficult to see. Granted, I was looking in the wrong location, but had this had any kind of coloring on it, I would have been able to determine more quickly that it couldn't be in the area I was looking because it would have showed up. So what I want to do here is put some blaze orange tape at least on these legs. Okay, so I have a roll here of the Handyman Secret Weapon duct tape. This is going to help us not only have a more visual effect when we go looking for this thing in the bush, but if you notice this pipe insulation, it has a split here. And that split is so that you can open this up and wrap it around your pipe. That's also going to make it more prone to breaking if it's landing on that. So I think what we want to do is turn it away from the hard spot and put it straight up opposite of the landing, and then take the blaze orange duct tape. If you set the quad down like this, it makes it a lot easier to do this. And we'll just go one wrap around. Alright, perfect, and we'll do the other two. Okay, so here we have it. Now it may be tempting to put some on the body, but a word of caution here. This particular model is the carbon fiber look, but it's actually plastic with sort of a decal placed over the top of it. Now if you have this model, keep in mind that if you put this duct tape on here, and then you go decide to remove it, it will probably peel the decal off, and you'll be left with like a gray body underneath. If you have the gray body, I believe that's the actual plastic. The legs are carbon fiber, so you can put it on there and remove it and not worry. But up here, it could be problematic. Okay, so we got some modifications done here to the GPS antenna. We're taking that weather stripping and applying it underneath and around. That'll keep the top from getting scuffed, because it appears that most of the scrapes were happening in this kind of a direction, with the Scout either tipping over or sliding down. And the other modification is a spring that supports the GPS antenna. It's held in place at the bottom with a door bumper for kitchen cabinets that sticks to the top of the quad, and that keeps the spring from sliding off the quad. So the padding for the GPS antenna is just this heavy density PVC closed cell vinyl. It's a weather stripping, and this is 3/4 inches wide by 3/8 inch thick. And you can get this at any building hardware store, or if you've got some kind of foam that you could stick to it like that, a strip of it, and it goes underneath on both sides. So here's the foam on the top, and it goes underneath. It wraps around here, goes underneath here in one piece until it hits the stem on both sides. So the spring is about 1 inch long, and in between the coils 3/16. But you want a spring that's going to give you some flexure. You don't want it too stiff, and you don't want it too hard. And these are the buttons. You peel these off, you get them at the hardware store, and that's just right to where the spring sits right on there like that, and that keeps it from moving around once it's stuck to the top of the quad. That secures the bottom of the spring there, and then the top of the spring is going to be digging into the foam underneath the GPS antenna, so that will keep it there. You get a little bit of movement, but it gives it some support to hopefully prevent it from snapping off. Now this foam right now is depressed, but it'll pop back up. Okay, this modification involves the radio, and one of the things I did wrong when the copter shot up, after it got so far, I flipped the return to launch switch. At least I thought I did. But what I really flipped was this switch here. These switches feel exactly the same, and they're so close that when you're in a situation like that to where, you know, things are getting kind of dicey, you can make that mistake. So what I've decided to do so that I never make that mistake again, this is a little bud off an MP3 player headphone. They usually give you spares, but what I found is this fits right over the top of that. We'll just look at that. It's a perfect fit. And we'll put one on the other side. Now that one is for drop your landing gears. And now on this one, we'll put this on the mode switch. So you see it right there. So now, when a guy is like looking up, I know that the mode switch has this bud. Now I'm going to have to put a little bit of friction tape on that so that it doesn't slide up and down. Okay, so there it is. We have knobs on the mode switch and knob on the landing gear switch. The other modification I made is to support the legs to keep them from splaying out when they hit the ground. This is the kind of movement we're getting without that brace. That's quite a bit. And it seems to me I've got a little more play in these legs than I did when it was new. So that's the reason for the brace and the extra padding. I believe part of the problem is that beginners like myself are landing the quads kind of hard at times, and it's loosening up the gears and keeps slamming into that switch, and finally the switch fails. With some more experience, you'd be able to land the quad softer, but for now, while I'm in training, even though I trained with a Hubsan X4, this quad is complicated. There are a lot of things to keep in mind with the radio controller, sequences that need to be done. And as a precaution, until the learning curve starts to flatten out, I'm going to be flying the quad with the legs down and supported. I can't even spread or close this right now, right here at this brace point. And when you drop it, you can see how solid that is. Have the brace about 2 inches down from here to here, just above the duct tape, and that will allow you to clear the gimbal. Here's the view from the back. We can turn the gimbal. So it's just taking a piece of vinyl, heating it up in a toaster oven to where it becomes pliable, and then bending it around the leg, drilling 2 holes, and then putting some machine screws into the holes. You want to drill those holes just under the size of the machine screw, and then the machine screw will thread the hole if you undersize the hole. Now the one thing you want to keep in mind is with the brace on, you do not want to engage or accidentally flip the gear down switch or gear up switch. The way to work around that is to inhibit the gear switch in the radio. Because if you do, with the brace on, you're more than likely going to burn the servo worm motors and possibly overload something else inside the Scout and maybe fry the whole thing. So let's take a look on how to disable that. So the first thing we're going to want to do is hit enter, and that brings us to the main menu. Then we want to scroll down to the model menu, enter. Then scroll down to device output, enter. Then scroll down to auxiliary 4 and change that to from active to inhibit, and then exit, and that will deactivate the gear switch. And so now, with the copter bound to the radio, we'll flip the gear up switch and nothing happens. Now there's one other feature I'd like to cover here, and this is going to play into making it easier to find, as you'll see in the next segment. So what I've done here is I've taken a piece of Velcro strapping and wrapped it around the battery to help keep it inside the quad in case of a crash landing. So it's a pretty straightforward process. That's all it is. On the sides here I've put the hooks, black, and then just a simple strap. It goes right in between here so that you could still see your lights, your GPS light and your battery power light, and it goes over the on-off switch. And use your thumb like this and roll it back, and that's it. And that'll help keep that battery in there in case of an impact. Okay, we're back out here in the Black Hills, and now for making it easier to find. We'll lift this quad off the ground, fly it out a little bit, and then try to find it. Okay. Oh, there's Tinky. What do you got there, bud? Come over here, bud. What do you got? Well, she got herself a deer leg. How about that? You know, she's a survivor. Must have found it. It's hunting season, I guess, or was, and I guess she just found what they left. Yeah, man, that'll bring back the wolf in her. Is pretend we don't know where that quad is. And I'm going to walk away a distance to get us some separation between us and the quad. And I'll be back. Okay, we've moved down the road a bit. If you recall, in the preceding segment, I showed a Velcro strap to keep the battery in. And the purpose of that is, if you don't have the battery in, you're not going to be able to get a GPS signal and locate the quad through this technique. In the sensor view, as you probably know, it has longitude and latitude at the bottom of the screen. Currently, that is the exact location of the quad. But if we were in a brushy area, or like what I had experienced before, you're still not going to know how to find that quad. So over here, I have a tablet, and it has a program called View Ranger, and it's for Android. Here we have the tablet showing our present location, and each program, of course, is going to work a little differently, but basically this is the process. So with View Ranger, we pull up options, and we put in enter coordinates. One thing to remember, the Scout puts out the latitude and longitude in decimal places. So you make sure that you have your latitude and longitude set up in decimal. If you're going to be pulling the data off the sensor view, that's what you're going to need. So first it starts out with the latitude, and then for the longitude. Okay, so that is the current location of the quad shown on the map on View Ranger, or whatever program you happen to be using. But that's the process. You enter in the longitude and latitude, and now with View Ranger, we'll just tap on this lightly, we'll hit options, and then we'll create a point of interest, and we'll just name that Scout, or you could just leave it like that. Done. Alright, now here's the point of interest, and they have an option here, navigate to. So now it shows our current location and a direct path on how to get to the quad. So we're going to walk to the quad, and once we get there, I'll show you what the map looked like. But basically, in real time, we'll be getting feedback on our position in relationship to this point of interest that we've named the Scout. Oh, now I see it. The blaze orange really makes it stand out. Okay. And the two circles, one which represents the location of the quad and the other which represents my location, are right on top of each other, so we know we're right on top of the quad. So there you have it. Blaze orange, brace, and battery strap support. All will make this a stronger and easier to find quad. Thanks for watching Dakota Starry Nights. Clear skies and safe flying.